if everyone does their job, I feel like we can be very dangerous.
For the defensive backs, creating turnovers is part of their job description. How flipping the field carves a path to victory.
And I hope in front of those great Penn State fans, we come in and give you a great game and compete our tails off, because that's what they deserve. It's one of the best, if not the best, fan bases in the country.
Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald is our impact interview. How he's able to keep his players out of the transfer portal.
We pick up right where we left off. Like your best friends, that's the way it is.
And the 1982 national champs are honored 40 years later. The list of teams they beat to earn the title is impressive. Here comes Nittany Game Week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nittany Game Week. I'm Todd Sadowski, along with our coaches, Jay Paterno and Tom Bradley. Ho-hum, fellas, another perfect September for the Blue and White. They're 20-1 during the month dating back to 2017. The last setback in September was against Ohio State. In 2018, every game counts. It's certainly nice to have a jump start on your goals for the season.
Yeah, the non-conference stuff is gone, and now you get into this is where you separate the contenders from the pretenders, and we're going to find out pretty quickly.
Nice to have a good September to get things rolling to October, Tom.
Nothing better than going undefeated in September.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's a good start to get into October.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you don't want to have any blemishes on the record at that point. Look, the climb up the rankings continues. Penn State moves to 11th in the country. We talk about the details that lead to victories and an area they want to solve before it costs them at crunch time. Let's get to our opening drive. It is a priority, a huge priority for the new defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz. +4 the past 2 games, turnovers carve a path to victory.
No doubt. And when you look at those games, the turnovers were vital. Central Michigan, give them credit. They came in, they played hard, they moved the ball. But the turnovers set up some very short fields for Penn State on scoring drives.
In a variety of ways, Tom. Interceptions, a fumble, special teams, a muffed punt. They were all over the ball.
They got them all. Gave them fantastic field position, which helps your offense. And, they didn't have to do many long drives. It's a great way to get started.
Yeah, they got in front of the game, and then when they needed them, they got them in the second half, and they stayed there. The turnovers are even coming on special teams, as we mentioned, with a huge muffed punt to flip the field.
It was great execution all around. And if Leak doesn't punch the ball out, or Malik Meg, if he doesn't punch the ball out from the guy, I don't think I could have got it. So it's just all around complimentary football.
Now, doesn't it say something about Curtis Jacobs that he's on special teams making a difference? And I love this play from Kalen King, the tenacity to make sure the receiver won't get away, keeps digging it loose, and recovers. That's high-level play from the secondary.
Yeah, the defensive backs are also making it very difficult for opponents to keep their rhythm in the pass game. They've got 41 pass breakups, best in the country. I think the next up is 25 at Pitt. Doing a nice job with that.
Yeah, that's one of the things they've done a great job. You see they're ripping, they're fighting. The play is never over with those DBs. They are constantly working through the catch, which is, as you can see, it's paying off.
And Tom, Coach Diaz is putting a lot of pressure on these guys. He's putting a lot of faith in them because there's a lot of one-on-one routes that they're playing defensively.
They're playing a lot of one-on-one stuff, a lot of their zone pressures and things are leaving a lot of those guys in one-on-one situations, which they've been winning most of them.
Jay, offensively, it's tough to go against a team that that has really talented secondary and defensive backs. You got to beat somebody on the field.
No question. I think as you look down the road, there's going to be some better receivers, better tight ends coming down the road, but they're building towards that, and we'll see. We'll see as we go.
It's by design that the Nittany Lions stockpile talent in the defensive backfield.
The emphasis on explosive plays and the importance that they play in the result of the game. There's also obviously been a major push of making it more of a space game with the spread emphasis that's on all levels now. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, they are difference makers for sure and need to play at their best against the upcoming opponents in October. So plenty of good things to talk about. One that needs to find some solutions is the place-kicking unit. Missed field goals, a blocked extra point. You can get away with these against Central Michigan and some of the other non-con opponents. It's going to bite you eventually.
Well, you can't afford to lose points. When you drive the ball into scoring position, you've got to come away with points when you get into the Big Ten schedule in October. You're starting this week, but, as we go, it's going to be important to cash in those points.
The kicking is going to be vital in big games. And, you hear it all the time, offense, defense, special teams. A lot of times the special teams shouldn't be last. It should be first. because field position and some of those things, and the punting, not only just the place kicking, but the punting and putting the guys in situations with long fields can really help your defense.
Especially when you get into tight games. Okay, let's go to the scrap metal. Great hands to catch the ball in traffic, had a couple of TD catches, and he's a big dude that is unpredictable and tough to bring down in the open field. Tom, Brenton Strange is the scrap metal winner.
I should have probably given it to him last week, but he had 5 catches this week for 42 yards. Parkersburg, West Virginia native. Last week he had 6 catches for 80 yards. I just figured I better make it up to him this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned he's unpredictable in the open field. This is why he tried to hurdle someone. Take a listen.
Guys hit me in the legs a lot, so I got to put that on film just to let people know that I might jump over you, I might run through you. So the last 2 weeks I've been trying to jump over people, so hopefully they'll try to stay off my legs, and then I can just run somebody over or stiff arm or just have them stay off my legs.
And I promised Brenton we would do our part and go ahead and show his hurdle attempt, so they have to think about it, what he'll do after a catch. Still to come, our scouting report. Our coaches dissect the Wildcats' power run game and look at how Penn State's play-action game can find receivers open versus Northwestern. All that when Nittany Game Week returns.
Scrap Metal is sponsored by the We Are In, voted #1 game day restaurant in Center County. Follow us on Facebook and visit thewearein.com or call for dinner or room reservations.
We are back on Nittany Game Week. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to increase my football IQ. Northwestern comes to Beaver Stadium. Huge underdogs in this matchup. They've been very generous in their first 4 games, giving the ball to their opponents. Coach Paterno, Coach Bradley, if they are able to hold on to the ball and keep the turnovers at least balanced, Coach Fitzgerald and his guys can cause some problems.
Yeah, you know, Todd, sometimes you look at a team and you say they're 1-3 and they deserve to be 1-3. This is a team that does not deserve to be 1-3 because of turnovers. So let's talk a little bit about what they do offensively. First, they have a veteran offensive line, Tom, a really good power run game. Talk about this blocking scheme here.
Well, it's just a power counter play depending on how they read the outside guy. If this guy crashes down, then they'll log it, run around him. If not, they'll kick it out and bring it up through.
Yeah, as we watch the video, look at number 77 come down and just wall off that linebacker. He is a big-time offensive lineman. So Saturday afternoon, if you want to watch a guy that really knows how to play O-line, he's there. But at the end of the play, you see one of the problems that has been there for Northwestern. Good 15, 20-yard run. And at the end of the play, they give the ball up. They've given up 7 turnovers, -5 in the year. They can't do that. Let's go now to some of the things they do in the pass game. Evan Hall, 26. If you love football, watch this kid play. He's their leading rusher, leading receiver, smart as a whip, lines up all over the place. Tom, this is a problem matchup-wise when you start trying to figure out who's going to take who.
It's a problem because he's everywhere. You're not sure how you're going to match him up and who's going to match up on him.
Yep.
And he's comfortable playing at the 1, 2, and 3 positions, being a receiver.
So let's take a look at him here on this one. Again, he's lined up. There's a safety or a linebacker covering him. And the thing about it is if you want to walk out and cover him, look at it, and he does a nice job on the route. You got to figure out how you're going to play him. You can't go to nickel because he can run the ball. So let's talk a little about their defense now. They've got a new defense coordinator for the last 2 years, like some of the overload blitzes that you see in the pros when you were coaching, Tom. Here they show a 6-man blitz and they bring 4 to a side.
And then what they do when they bring the 4, if you notice behind, it's a soft 2 shell behind it. It's not a real hard 2 shell, it's just a soft 2 shell with only one guy in the middle and the 2 guys playing deep halves. And it's just, they want that ball coming out quick and they're going to tackle it.
Let's take a look at the video. Again, it looks like they're man-to-man. They back out of there all of a sudden now. You've got 2 deep, quarterback doesn't know where to go with the ball. Let's talk now about their third downs, their solid third down defense. They are not afraid to match up. They break up a lot of passes, and they'll spy your quarterback, which I will imagine you'll see with Sean Clifford. Let's take a look. You'll see that middle linebacker now is sitting there reading the quarterback, reading the short routes. Penn State likes the crossing routes, so I'd imagine you'll get that.
Plus, he helps you on the scramble a little bit. He's like, they call that a little rat coverage in there.
Yep.
He's just looking around trying to see what he can do.
Yeah, so let's take a look now at some Penn State stuff. The play-action pass on first down has been really good. The hard run fake, because the run game has been effective. Both linebackers come down here. This guy gets over the top.
this works out great because of what you just said, the run game.
Yep, let's
They
take
can
a look
run
at the video
football.
on this one. Watch both linebackers come downhill in a hurry. Your backside wideout gets over the top, and that's where they're getting some of their big plays in the pass game. Let's talk about now in a week where you have a game like we just did. Coaches want to coach hard. They want to correct mistakes when the players think about it. The launch point continues to be an area of concern for Penn State. Here's a four-man rush. Of the first 27 passes, 14 of them, let's take a look at the video, 14 of them, Sean Clifford was flushed or sacked or had to run out of there and throw the ball on the run and took a lot of hits. Last thing we want to talk about as we go is on the defensive side. Tom, you loved the stack when you were coaching defensive backs.
I do not like the stack. First of all, here comes the motion. Communication is the key thing. That's the one thing you have to have. If you're going to be good, you got to communicate to each other, and that's what causes some of the problems here, and also your leverage.
Yeah, and you'll see on the video, trying to sort these guys out. John Sutherland is in position, and all of a sudden there's all this traffic, can't get through there, ends up with a touchdown. And hopefully, you know, when you look at Saturday, Penn State's able to correct some of the little things. And again, they're 4-0, so they're little things. But, you know, that's what makes a difference when you're going to go down the stretch. Todd, back over to you.
All right, thanks, fellas. Ready for Big Ten play, that's for sure. Well, that was quick. Expanded alcohol sales approved on a Friday by the Board of Trustees. Beer available at Beaver Stadium 8 days later. New policy kicks in this weekend against Northwestern. It's available in the stadium in all areas except near the student section. 2 16-ounce beers maximum per purchase. Sales conclude at the end of the third quarter. Now, at halftime of the Central Michigan game, the sidelines are full of national champions. 40th reunion for the 1982 Penn State team. This is a team that faced a gauntlet of a schedule to win it all. They beat 5 teams ranked in the top 15 that season. They try to bring the guys back every 5 years, a special chance for teammates to get together and reminisce. It brings back a ton of memories anytime they walk onto the field in Happy Valley.
4 months after we have the last one, we're like, hey, when can we have the next one? Because you have so many bonds and so many great memories that it just makes everything worth it. A very, very tight-knit group. Maybe not as talented as some other teams, even 81 the year before that, but we're all rowing in the same direction. And you need to, for a 12-game season, it come in hell or high water, and we did do that.
Yeah, they beat Nebraska, West Virginia, Pitt, Notre Dame, and Georgia all in the same season. Our Impact interview is next. You want to know something about Northwestern? We go straight to the top. The Wildcats head coach, Pat Fitzgerald, joins us. We'll try to get some game day secrets from him. I doubt he budges, but it will be entertaining for sure. Nittany Game Week returns after this.
Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back. Time for our Impact interview. If you want to know something about Northwestern, well, you go right to the top. Our guest has guided the Wildcats to 10 bowl games and a pair of Big Ten West titles in 2018 and 2020. In addition to his coaching success, he was a 2-time All-American linebacker for Northwestern and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Head coach Pat Fitzgerald joins us this week. Coach, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Todd. I appreciate being on with you, Jay and Tom. It's great to be on and excited to talk a little football with you.
Well, I get to do this every week with these guys. I know you're looking forward to talking with Jay and Tom, but I'll go first. Coach, this is our Impact interview, and it's interesting to note the lack of impact the transfer portal has had on your program when it comes to players leaving. You've had the fewest transfers leave of any Big Ten team, and during that time, you've won 2 Big Ten West titles. So what is it about Northwestern and your program that makes it a place where players come and then they stay for the entire career?
I think the credit goes to our recruiting staff and our coaching staff. You know, we identify young men that fit our program, the right families. And I think that if you were to ask them, they'd tell you we're brutally honest with them in the process. We're not, you know, selling them a bag of goods and then they get here to Evanston and it's something completely different. Try to be really transparent, try to be upfront, try to be honest, try to really describe, you know, where we see the young man fitting into our program. And then, you know, obviously the academics speak for itself. To get a top 10 education, compete for Big Ten championships, and be here in the backyard of Chicago is pretty sweet.
Pat, Jay Paterno, for those Penn State fans that don't know, Just watching film, your running back, Evan Hull, is carrying the ball all over the place, averaging over 7 catches per game. I just love the way this kid plays. How much fun is it to scheme ways to get him involved in every aspect of the game plan? And I'm sure Penn State fans would love any inside tips about what you might do with him on Saturday. I don't think you'll give that up, but how much fun is that to have a guy like that?
Well, I promise you, Jay, he won't be punting the ball. I'm not giving away any trade secrets there, buddy. But, yeah, no, he's an incredibly talented young man. You know, a young man that won a state wrestling championship, a 100-meter championship, and was, in our opinion, very lightly recruited, but just got better and better throughout his senior year. We actually offered him with our last scholarship. Man, am I glad Lou Ianni, our running back coach, did. And he can do it all. He returns kickoffs for us. You're right. He's a weapon out of the backfield catching the ball, and he's really dynamic with the ball in his hands as a running back.
Hey, Pat, it's Tom Bradley. I just want you to know I don't remember the 1995 game. I just remember the 1994 and the 1996 game, okay? Your secondary also is very aggressive, making plays and breaking up passes. Has your scheme changed much with the NFL influence of defensive coordinator Jim O'Neill after so many years with the great Mike Hankwitz?
Yeah, you know, it's a great question, Tom. And we've really tried to take some principles from the NFL. You know, obviously the college game is morphing more to a throwing league, throwing level than it's ever been. You know, it's still Big Ten football. You got to stop the run to win games. But, you know, when you look at where things were at, we just made some little slight tweaks to maybe some of our verbiage and some of our coverage concepts, but nothing major. No, most of the tenets and the hallmarks of what we've done here for a long time, kind of stay tried and true. And, I just wish offenses were, limited in some of the things that they could do.
Coach, you took over as the head coach in July 2006 after the stunning death of then head coach Randy Walker. Talk about a shock to the system. And you found yourself as the youngest head coach in the country in charge of a team that's mourning a beloved coach. There's a story about a phone call you received from the oldest coach in the country at the time, Joe Paterno. How much did that call mean to you? And does that type of coaching camaraderie still exist? You guys have all kinds of other pressures involved with the job in such a social media type of environment.
Yeah, well, Jay and Tom and I were, we were all yucking it up about Ron Vanderlinde, my great linebacker coach here and key coordinator that was obviously a great linebacker coach at Penn State. And I actually called Ron and I said, hey, Coach, I'd love to get in touch with Coach Paterno and see if I could pick his brain for a little while. And Jay, you might know this better than I do, but I couldn't get a cell phone. I don't think he had one. So
no, he didn't have one.
So I had to get your mom's. So your mom and dad were out. You guys have a place in the shore, right? I think they have a place. So I got a hold of your dad out at the shore, and he gave me so many nuggets. But the best one he gave me was this. He told me, and I can't impersonate your dad like you can probably, but he's like, those funny markers? And I'm like, talking about the dry erase markers, Coach? He's like, yeah, get one of those. Go to your house. I want you to write head coach on your mirror. It's like, okay, I could do that, Coach. And I go, what's kind of the moral of the story? He's like, when you stop looking at it, then you're the head coach. And so it was just like one of those like simplistic but aha moments. Like, you're in charge now. And that's the way you got to operate, the way you got to think when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night. That's the way you got to operate and you got to take it. It's not just about blocking and tackling. It's about the macro way you run a program. And, Coach Paterno was incredibly gracious to me. And every meeting we had, every game we had, anytime I pick up with the phone, he was so gracious with wisdom and his time. And do I think there's a collegiality the same way now in the Big Ten? I really do. I've got great respect for Coach Franklin. We've known each other for a long time, and I could go through each coach. And I think it comes to also our bigger and higher level of respect for the Big Ten Conference.
Hang with us for a minute. We're going to step aside for the TV show to take a break. We will continue our interview. So if you want to see the entire conversation with Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald, make sure you go to NittanyGameWeek.com for the entire interview, along with other web-exclusive content. Still to come, our Pride picks, players to watch, and a little extra from the 82 national champs. We're heading into the final minutes on Nittany Game Week. So what's Tom Bradley like in 1982, Mark?
1982 is, as you would think, intense. You're walking around like he's got watermelons under his arm. But one of the guys, too. He really bridged the gap from player to coach better than any of them. And he's still that way. We're still very, very close.
Intense? No, not scrap. Well, there they are. The 1982 national champs on the field for their 40th reunion. And this is the only interview about you, Scrap, that's suitable for air. Just kidding.
Did you have better things to do with the game?
Apparently not. This stuff. Look, it's a really tight-knit group. They had a lot of fun.
They did.
I got some good scoop about you, but, you know, look, Tom Bradley.
It was a great team to coach, and I'm proud of all of them. They were just a wonderful group of guys.
1982, Tom Bradley.
Yes.
You remember?
No, I was 14. I had no idea. I was too busy making Legos, building Legos.
Glowing remarks for you, man. Glowing remarks. So it was really, that's a big accomplishment. 43 reunion guys were a lot of fun. All right, there we go. Players to watch for this matchup against Northwestern.
We talked about Hall, talked about Skoronsky. Helinski's throwing for 300 yards a game, so don't fall asleep on them throwing the football when they're offense. On defense, another Irish middle linebacker for Northwestern. This one, Gallagher, really, really effective. And then the defensive tackle down there, number 99's got 3 sacks, had 7 tackles against Duke, so he can play.
I'm not going to pronounce 99 there. Coco Azima, though, I'll go for, number 0. I like that name for sure. No doubt about it. All right, well, don't miss our depth chart at NittanyGameWeek.com, which includes these local businesses. So much support in the community for the Blue and White, their alumni, and businesses. Our goal is to build a team that is part of the show and that you, in turn, support as a viewer to keep our hometowns strong. And if you haven't noticed yet, we're just scratching the surface of content when it comes to college football here on the TV show. We have a lot to share with you, and it doesn't all fit into our 30-minute window. Make sure to check out NittanyGameWeek.com for web-exclusive content. Submit your viewer questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. Well, we finished with some pride picks. Still 5 home games left on the schedule. A lot of big football games yet to discuss and watch. For Jay and Tom, I'm Todd. Thanks so much for watching Nittany Game Week. We'll see you next time.